we are going to be planting up some kale, turnips, and radishes. Right now it's March, so we are still actively getting frosts, but the ground is loose and pliable, and your kale, turnips, radishes, leafy greens, a lot of those can take the frost that we get in early spring. So this area is now tilled and prepped and ready to go. Now I just got to rake it over and smooth it out, and we'll get to planting. In case you're wondering, I'm not adding any manure or compost to this area this year because the crops that I'm planting aren't extremely heavy feeders, one, and two, I added composted manure to it last year. Just get rid of any of the big pieces. That's what I do. Like these big rocks, you want to get rid of them. Josiah, were you able to get that corn?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so this side is now raked up and ready to go. I gotta do this side. Now, one thing that I want everyone to notice is that behind us there is some white pines. And so this little garden plot here, this small little section here, just so you shouldn't have walked in that. You need to walk in the aisle. This little garden section here is on the east side of the trees. So it gets morning sun and dappled afternoon shade. And that's really good for the leafy greens and stuff. It keeps them cooler and they won't bolt as easily. So now what I'm going to do is dig out the aisleway real quick and put it on the beds. If you see any of these in your garden, you'll see the taproot on it and the leaves. This is wild geranium. We want to get rid of that. So now the center aisle is established. You can kind of see it's dug down a bit. And you can also see the chickens over there working the ground. But what I like to do is I like to have a board swamp. So that's my pathway right here. And as you can see, the chickens are working the soil and getting some of the pest and all out. And then I need to have a little pathway here for my raised bed. But the first thing we're going to be planting up today is kale. And I do need cages to do that, because my chickens are free rangers, and if I don't have a cage, then they will eat the kale and such. But that's not too big of a problem. there's a couple different varieties of kale that I grow. One that I really like is the red Russian kale. It is it does really well in the cold, but it's also a heat tolerant variety, so that one works well here for me. Another one that I like is the white Siberian or white Russian. That's another great variety, and the nice thing about the Siberian kale is that it self-seeds readily, so it'll come back and it's easy for the gardener to save seed from. Just need to close off the end here. So now looking at this, you can see that it's pretty well closed off. It's sticking up a little bit here, but that's okay because I can pin it down and chickens typically won't go under there anyways. So it's closed off on both ends and it's ready to plant. So in the triangle shaped row I'm going to be planting the kale, and I got to find the variety first. Okay, so I'm going to be planting some dwarf Siberian kale, and a lot of people when they're planting their kale, and it's already coming out of the packet actually. A lot of people whenever they're there you can see the seeds. A lot of people like to take their kale and they like to, you know, bury the seeds. I personally just sprinkle it right on the surface of the soil, and I found that that works really well for me. So what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to walk down my center aisle that I've made, and I'm just going to sprinkle. You can hear the guineas are starting to join us. Now I am seeding this pretty heavily in here and nice and thick, but that's okay. The younger plants we can just cut off and eat as young greens, and the older ones we can allow to establish and grow. And I lost my turnips. They blew away on me. Do you see like a... Alright, so now that I sprinkled my kale seed out over top of this prepared area, all I have really left to do is just bury them slightly. And I just take my hands in there and just rough it up, move down, rough it up, move down, and that's all the burying the kale really needs. It's super easy crop. Easy as pie to grow. Very hardy, high yields, and I really just recommend it for anybody. who's wanting to grow a winter hardy green. And I might need to pin that down some soon. Okay, so now in this end bed, I have here some turnip seeds, and I saved these seeds myself a couple of years ago, so I don't know how viable they're going to be, because they are older seeds. But we're going to go ahead and just take them, and they look very similar to the seeds off of the kale. They are a bit smaller though. And I will just take some and sprinkle them around too. So that is the purple top white globed turnips planted. So I know that I said I was going to plant the radishes up, but I already showed you how I do the kale and the turnips, and the radishes is exactly the same way. So that's all that we're doing for today. But I did want to show you real quick before I forgot the soil. Here you can see the soil. And it's a pretty loose soil, but it does hold some shape to it, but then easily crumbles. And that's what you want. You want it to hold a little bit of shape, but easily to crumble. That will allow the moisture in and the roots to go down in there, and that's kind of what you're looking for. And here you can see once again a duck and some of the chickens working the ground. The ducks and chickens are really good because as they go through, they'll eat any grubs, but they also help work the surface of the soil and fertilize it as they go. So thank you for watching. We'll continue to give you updates as this garden progresses and our other garden spaces, and have a great day.